Hey y'all, my apologies. This should have gone up yesterday, but this seems a lot longer than I anticipated, and I've been managing my time the best I can. But, I do have a tendency for turning things in late sometimes, and I'm trying to do better about it. So we'll see. But I have a lot of plans, a lot of things to do. So this one is Faceoff, and it's right after Victor starts to look for Oz. It transitions to where Oz is. There's a noise before a light. Then the light comes on. It's, wow. I really am not doing a good job of this, huh? Then the light comes on, and it's a sort of flashlight, and we're seeing through barely opened eyelids. It's time to wake up, we hear Julian's voice say. After he departs, and our eyes are still somewhat open, floodlights come on, and we see Sophia seated, legs bent, one bent on the stairs up to the stage. She's seated on, so she's sitting on the stage, and her legs are bent, and it's like 3 steps down. And did I mention the view, which I didn't do, is rotated clockwise to give us the impression or the illusion that we're laying on our side? Well, it is. After some time with the image, we go third person to see the penguin getting picked up off the ground via the chair he's tied to, gagged and moaning. Sophia uses the opportunity to speak. Oz, she says, it's been a minute. So she's got her slang too. Oz starts yelling through the gag. His bound arms can't reach, and we see Frances is being led through bound hands as well, although she is granted some more mobility, as she can walk a tad herself. As Oz yells more unintelligibly at this knowledge, like his mom being there, we are shown Sophia crossing her legs to expose red-bottomed, high-top shoes. So she put a lot of effort into her appearance. Unamused, but clearly having fun playing dress-up with her extravagant budget. I don't know, I gotta find a way to tone this sometimes. Okay. Now they got Francis on a chair too. Now that they have now they have Francis on a chair too, which is Oz's mother's name, if you didn't know. Sophia begins, when Berto and I were kids, and I was saying I don't really believe that she actually called him Berto. I mean, she won an Emmy, or I think that's what they are, for one of the best supporting actresses or something in a show, maybe a lead female or something like that. But we didn't believe that she really had a brother growing up named Berto. It's a critique. Just the way she said it. We found this. No. This nah. No, she says we found this nest out by the greenhouse with 2 baby birds inside. One of the birds was bigger than the other one, stronger, and the mama bird gave it more food. After this time, Oz is muffledly shouting annoyingly. But Sophia is going to abuse this moment. I don't know. I should have said she's going to get her moment in the spotlight. And I got nervous for the smaller bird. It was so weak and frail, sounding genuinely afraid and worried. That's what I gotta cut the quotes sometimes. I used to have trouble with that. As she was saying how weak and frail the bird was, she sounded genuinely afraid and worried, like a frail little mama herself. Her green or hazel eyes are glowing here. I thought I was going to die, but then one morning, she says quietly, turning her head at the transition, when the mama bird was away, the smaller bird viciously attacked the bigger bird. Oz slowly looks up at her. She's been walking all this time, by the way, and killed it. And then it pushed its brother out of the nest. After a pause, she says it was the most disturbing thing she had ever seen. Oz nods understandingly at this. And then she says, at least at the time. Can you imagine doing something so terrible to your own brother? She says with threatening eyes. That's not even the wildest part, she continues quickly, eyes big with anticipation. When the mother saw one of her babies was missing, guess what she did? Oz looks around, but says nothing. As if to echo this, the camera goes back to Sophia's head and torso, along with just Francis's head. And she says out loud, nothing. She takes a breath and continues. Instead of punishing the smaller bird, she kept feeding it, caring for it, as if nothing ever happened. Camera focuses on a panel. On a pained Francis face, as much of this is being said. Do you think the mother knew? Francis nods before she can say the last word. Oz. Now Francis starts mumbling through a duct-taped mouth what her baby did. Francis mumbles on, sooner rather than later. Sophia says, Francis, and moves her jeweled hand. She only had one ring, but I called it jeweled. To touch his mother's hair. She starts to touch Francis. What do you think? Oz begins to yell at this touch. Shall we find out? She begins to walk over. What do you say? Share some hard truths, she says with loud steps and moving hands. It might bring about some healing. Oz, would you like to start? She says softly and removes the gag. You fucking psycho. What is this shit? Talking about beds. Sophia grabs a chair of her own. You don't like my story? Ma, look at me. Look at me, he repeats, and begins swearing to God that he's going to get her out of there. He keeps trying to get her attention, but Francis seems willingly unresponsive. But Sophia attempts to recollect his attention. Oz, you're right. It was a stupid story, and you have the better one anyway. I might believe the story, but maybe that makes me look stupid or uncredible, that I would believe that she actually saw a nest near her house and this whole encounter happened over the course of a couple of days over her calling her brother Alberto Berto. And you have the better one anyway about the story. She then motions to him and asks him to tell her what happened. Oz plays dumb. What? What happened where? Camera focuses in on Sophia's fierce and fearsome figure. Tell us why you left your brothers to die in those tunnels. Oz looks confused. What the hell are you talking about? Why did you tell your mom you weren't with them? Why did you lie to her? Oz repeats, more loudly this time. What the hell are you talking about? Stop pretending. Stop pretending. She knows. I know. We all know what you did, Sophia explains, somewhat condescendingly, while wagging her finger all sorts of ways. Oz looks afraid and childlike, starts insisting something was done to his mother, and that's why she's acting that way. He's looking around. What the fuck did you do to her? This is Sophia now. You act like you tell her everything, and she acts like she believes you. Oz is really trying to break free now. Sophia stands, motioning her hands away from her breasts in the most giving way possible. But she's giving rebukement. Why are you so afraid of the truth? Who isn't, right? I'm not, but I definitely used to be. She begins saying it's sick, and then shifts her attention to Francis and mentions that it is almost as sick as her asking that man to kill her son. Oz, kind of staggeredly, looks up at this. Rex, right? She whispers in Francis's ear. That was his name, right? And then Oz is like, what kind of weird freaking games are you trying to play? Sophia takes the duct tape off of Francis's mouth to hear small shut-ups emanating from her softly. Sophia begins to explain to Oz that their last night together was meant to be here, at this club. Francis doesn't like what she's hearing, but goes on anyway, asking about where they danced and this and that, using the information gathered against her, which Francis does not appreciate. Sophia starts to ask if it was worth it and if he fulfilled his promise. Oz starts saying, "Ma," almost crying, but Sophia leans in, red scarf holding up her left breast, and asks if she wishes she let them take him, or she let Rex take him for that ride. She asks what she lost for that choice. As Francis mulls it over and Oz listens in worriedly, she knows what she lost, what was taken from her, and now, more uneasily, she says that he deserves to know what he did to her. I think this is Sophia. Yeah, Sophia. How you feel about him and how angry you are, she's saying. Yeah, so I said, I really feel like, so this is me commentating to the side. I really feel like Sophia is empowering Francis here to speak her truth. I think she knows something we don't. Tell him. Tell him. Francis responds with a spit in the face, which Oz woots at. He's like, yeah. Fine, she says after, composing herself, after Francis spit in her face at this request. This scene, I said, was great overall. So, long story short, okay, because this part right here. Sophia asks Julian and friends to cut off Francis's pinky finger, while asking Oz which finger he cut off of her brother in the first episode of the series. She insists, explaining that even when one already knows the hurt someone did to you, they still need to hear it from the person who hurt them. Further saying that she, Sophia, will never be able to get that from her. She'll never be able to get that. And I explained that it was from her father, because her father did some bad things and never admitted it before his untimely or timely passing. It's a nice sentiment, I say, but sometimes I think you're better off leaving well enough alone. I'm just saying, because like when you insist on like getting closure or getting words out of someone, you start to like obsess and go a little crazy and do dumb shit like this. But I don't know, you gotta live your life and do your thing, and people need things to certain degrees, but I just think you're letting someone else rule your peace. But it's okay. She's an interesting character, written really well, and she has a little bit too much power, you know. You gotta be careful when you have a little bit too much, and you don't have to work for I mean, she works for what she's getting and stuff, but, like, when she has so much freedom to do whatever she wants now that no one's telling her what to do, like, she's kind of been doing some crazy stuff, like, at the end of the last episode, so, I don't know. I mean, Oz has found a worthy adversary, I guess, because she's playing the psychological games, which I appreciate, and is probably one of the reasons I like this show so much. But my commentary continues. Like, seriously, she acts like she's doing her a favor, but why don't you just kill him already? I'm talking about her killing the penguin. But whatever, I guess. I guess she finally found someone cares. I guess she finally found someone that the penguin somewhat cares about. And I say somewhat, because even with this torture, Oz still won't budge. She deserves the best, doesn't she? She says. I'm giving you the opportunity to give it to your mother. And then Sophia keeps insisting and asking as Francis continues screaming, pained screams because they're trying to cut off her finger. Offering. It's so easy. I don't know if she's ever done something like that where she feels difficulty in admitting it. And it's funny because I feel like this is going to sound a little sexist, and I'm not trying to be, but I feel like it's usually harder for girls to admit some of these things than men. Or at least maybe it's kind of associated more with manliness to like admit truths, like to like keep your word, or like just admit something, like to like I don't know, like step up and like be a man, they say, and like own what you did. They don't really say that to women too much, and I think it's because women are protected in a way that men aren't sometimes, because they are viewed as not being as strong. Sometimes I think those impressions or those like stereotypes could be adjusted as time goes on and as things are proven in different ways. But like, I'm reading this book right now, and I actually mentioned it on one of the I mentioned it in one of like maybe episode 6 or 5 of the Black Ops 6 one. Maybe it was 4, maybe it was 3, honestly, because I was watching like the reboot of Pretty Little Liars, and now I decided I would read the books, get into the source material. And one of the main characters, I found out that she publicly lied about who broke up with who in her relationship, because like it's just people like prefer being the breaker uppers even if they were the ones broken up with. And like you always hear that the girls break up with the guys, and that's probably usually true, because I don't know, guys like they kind of, I mean, I usually think that girls need relationships a little bit more than men do, just like have like protection or like provision, at least like, generally, but it doesn't always have to be that way. But also men are more content, like I think. Like this is where like I like talking about this stuff, because I think even if it's more challenging, it brings up some interesting like ideas and ways to think about like relationships and things if you're like thinking about getting in one or if you're in one. Where I think that men like want like to protect and provide, like naturally, maybe they feel good about it. Not everyone, maybe, and maybe there are some girls who would like to do that as well. And I think sometimes it can be a limiting view to think so generally, because not all girls are the same. Like not all men are. So I just feel, I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but I just feel like they're more willing to live with a lie that makes them look bad if it means the girl will look better, even if it ended in a breakup or something. But especially if it was something that the man initiated, because he's not trying to make the girl feel bad. He just like I think a lot of breakups do happen for good reason. Now, and I don't mean good reason as it needed to end, more so good reason as like they want what's best for the other person and they know that the relationship isn't what's best for them or themselves. But I think at the end of it all, like it doesn't help anybody to embarrass someone else unless you actively don't like that person. And I think maybe girls can have more to lose in relationships than men do, just because as a society sometimes we view women with more partners a little bit worse than men with good partners. And I know people are going to get upset about that, but it is a thing that until changed might be something that people feel. So I don't really agree with it, but everyone has their own thing. And I'm not saying that to make myself look good, or like with the girls, like she's not gonna let you hit, bro. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say stuff like that, because those are like jokes that have like rude undertones. But because I feel like sometimes men, I know I'm talking a little bit much, but I'm already going over this, so I think I'm slowing down the game behind me and I'm muting it to not make it look bad. But I just my point is that just because you're being nice to someone doesn't necessarily mean that you want more from them. But sometimes people do that, and I've seen it as well, like where it's not genuine, and those are sometimes the scariest things, because sometimes, especially if you're not used to it, like and I'll stop being so gender based. Like if someone's being nice to you and you're not used to someone being nice to you, you might like want to like keep that person. And it might turn out that they're being nice to you because they want something from you, not because they actually feel what they feel. Because people in this life are really good at lying, and they like to lie. So it's good to try to learn when people are lying or not. And that's why I like to play poker, because I've dealt with my fair share of liars, and I try not to contribute to it, but who knows. Let's continue. She deserves the best, doesn't she? I'm giving you the opportunity to give that to your mother. Sophia keeps insisting and asking as Francis continues screaming pained screams, offering, "It's so easy." Oz simply asks her not to do it. She didn't do nothing. So Sophia is like pleading with a toddler now. All you have to do is tell her the truth. Tell her what you did to your brother. Zzz. Tell her why. Then we can all take a breath. You're fucking insane. Am I speaking still? Yeah. Oz yells instead, but I think Sophia's getting nervous now. Or aroused. Hard to say. The screaming continues, but Sophia concedes, leaning back to a stance. I already told you. I didn't do fucking shit. I don't know what you're fucking talking about. And this is Oz speaking, not Sophia, if you couldn't tell. But Sophia's disgusted now. She tells her men to stop. She still insists that Oz admit it, like she wants him to admit it real bad. She incredulously asks Oz what's wrong with him, to which he responds by directing his words to his mother, telling her that he was with her, to which she responds with, "Oh, it's my finger, you spineless prick." He repeats what he said before. Jesus. No, okay, so he just keeps repeating, "I was with you, Ma. I was with you." And then Frances says, "Jesus." I don't think she's calling him Jesus. I think she's like pleading to Jesus. Just tell her already. I already fucking know. And he freezes at this. "I know what you did to Jack and Benny. I've always known," she says, through straining vocals, and she did a much better job than me. I'm sorry she didn't get any rewards for this acting, because I think they gave her a bigger role, and two, she did a really good job playing this quite difficult role. I don't know her actress's name. I'm sorry that I know Kristen Maloney's. She had like more screen time, and her story, it was interesting. I liked her story. And not that I don't like his mother's story, but it's hard for me to root for her because it's hard to root for a lot of people in this show. But she did a fine job. I thought the young Frances did a good job as well. And I feel like they could have given her more screen time, but I think they really wanted to emphasize the now Frances and her struggle. Because they kind of start her off looking kind of like a bad mother or a good mother, depending. Like she encourages Oz on his path throughout this whole time, but she's also really kind of mean to him. She breathes after saying she's always known, and there are no words said, just Oz looking steadily, more steadily than before. "Lies," he starts. "You're getting things confused. It's just your disease talking, Ma." And I think she has something called Lewy body, which I've never heard of, or something else. They say like dementia something. I don't know what she's got. She's got something, but I think it's more with the spirit than it is with her body. And in this case, it is a lot. "Fuck you," she yells with ferocious extent. I say extent. I could have said intent, but I want to say the ferocious was out rather than in. And she looks mad. And she's zoned in. "I hate you. I hate you for what you did. I've never stopped hating you." And she's breathing heavy after that. After it seems she got what she needed to say, Sophia motions for Julian to remove the finger cutters. Because even though they stopped cutting and sawing and whatever, it was still wrapped around her finger. After she does, she starts to feel the aftershock, wincing at the pain of her still attached finger. "You were gonna let me cut it off," Sophia says, disgustedly again. Sorry, I really like that word. She asks again at Oz's staringly condemning eyes, "Because you don't care about her." So, yeah, now it's a statement. She was like, "You were going to let me cut it off? You were going to let me cut it off because you don't care about her." But it gets a "fuck you" response from Oz. He says "fuck you" as well. He learns from his mother somehow. I don't know what she could have taught him, or he just loved her, or what. You gotta either watch the show or you could watch Top Hat, is where you really get into the down and dirty of what they're talking about, or I should say down and clean, I guess. Anyway, I think she should be satisfied seeing how low... Okay, I'm commentating now. I feel like Sophia should be satisfied seeing just how low Oswald will go. Like, I don't know, that's her opponent. Like, he wouldn't even, like, save his own mother. Like, shit. Like, or maybe he really thought she was bluffing, or maybe he thought she was tough enough, but he's not really the type to ever give in, especially because he's been on parts of deals. Like, every deal he's ever been a part of has involved a bit of a swindle. Like someone has cheated someone else. And Oz is still alive, so he's probably won all of these. So I think it's by not giving in. And I don't know. I guess he was figuring it's just a finger, but I don't know. Maybe he's a stronger man than me. They do emphasize his strength a lot. And so, like, it's a very interesting thing. Like I said, it's hard to root for him, especially because, like, I feel like Sophia, I think he's surrounded by, like, I hate to say it, but weak women. Which is, like, harsh. But I don't know. It depends what you like the traits. I always like going back to Fallout about like the strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and I guess you could say luck. Because I feel like sometimes you pick and choose like what you really what you value in a partner or in a person or in a friend or in like, and the thing with families, you don't really get to choose them. I mean, you get to choose your spouse, and the family that comes from them comes from your spouse and yourself, so they're bound to be something like you, unless you adopt, of course. Then, you know, it's harder to choose, I guess, if you don't know their birth parents or this and that, like what kind of traits they're going to grow up with that aren't taught, that are innate. And I think some of these are more innate or taught. I think it's hard to say. I don't know their upbringings that much. I feel like Sophia's might have been more innate, just because even though she grew up with her strong, like, intimidating father and her more relaxed brother, she kind of like wanted the power, but she never wanted to take it. She wanted it to be given to her. She wanted to earn it, rather than take it like Oz has had to, I guess. I don't know his teenage years or anything like that, but Sophia's not really one to use force like that, even though she insists that she wants to, like we saw at the end of episode 2, Inside Man. So yeah, she says you don't care about him. Like she says you don't. Not enough, she continues. All right, so I'm going to say it the way I wrote it. Because after he says fuck you, she says you don't like care about her. And okay, so you don't, she insists. Not enough, she continues. Not like you say, she finishes. You don't feel a fucking thing, she concludes, or she diagnoses. I didn't write that down, but I know that's the trait of either a psychopath or a sociopath, not being able to feel anything. I don't know, but I just think that maybe he does feel personal. Like, I think you can misdiagnose people all the time, and maybe I'm guilty of that because I do have a minor in psychology, and as you can tell, I love to talk, and I make observations, and usually they're in my head, but if I'm talking to someone, like, I'll tell people what I see, and sometimes that pushes people away. Sometimes that's, like, appreciated, but sometimes, you know, you never get to find out, so I don't get paid for it, so maybe I should hold off, but I have a lot of perspective and a lot of experience and a bit of learning in these things as well, so I have my opinions. Whether they're fact or not, can we really say anything is fact about the mind? Maybe, because, you know, they got the DSM or whatever where you can actually diagnose and stuff. I haven't studied it, I just know it exists. Like I said, minor, not a major. You don't feel a fucking thing, she concludes. Now it's Francis's time to talk. Oswald, I had enough to give, Oswald. I had enough to give all three of yous. You didn't have to leave them down there. You didn't have to take them from me. They were my babies, my world, your brothers. She gets up, walks over. She like actually has the freedom to walk up now. You're a disappointment, a waste of space. I wake up every day sick that I'm your mother. She's right. She's fucking right. I should have let Rex kill you when I had the chance. Oz reacts to this, but he doesn't react the way you might expect. He just sighs and looks down as if he doesn't believe her. I think. Like I said, opinion. Observation. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you agree with me. It is what it is. This, though, seemingly infuriates Francis. She grabs a nearby bottle, shatters it, and stabs him in the gut. I think we all have different ways of showing hate. Maybe of showing love, and maybe, like, I don't know. I think I think the reason she didn't let Rex kill him was out of fear of starting over. Cause I don't know much about Oz's father. They barely bring him up at all. All I know is that Oz doesn't want to be like his dad, like the way. So it sounds like maybe she talked about him badly or something. But I also like I said earlier, like your kids, especially if they're biological or maybe only, I don't know, they end up being kind of like that father. So like you find out sometimes these baby mamas or these baby daddies, which is basically or daddas, I don't know. I usually hear that term with women, more the baby mama's part, where like you have a baby with someone that you're not married to, and then why didn't you marry them? Either because nobody forced you to, or because you didn't want to. And if you didn't want to spend the rest of your life with this person, then there's plenty of people that most people, whether they're bad or good, you might just not be that compatible. But either way, like it's like there might be a reason that they didn't want to be together. And if you didn't want to be together with that opposite person, and now that kid is 50% that person that you didn't want to spend the rest of your life with, you might run into situations like this. So I'm not encouraging anyone not to like have kids. Like, and sometimes like I think it is better, or at least like more sound, if you can have them with people that you're like sure that you want to spend like 18 plus years with, because I don't think that parenting stops at 18 like many people say. Maybe the financial obligation does, but that opens a whole other can of worms, because you can legally justify the financial stuff in many, I don't know about all countries, but like if you have a kid and you're not together, like you still have to be financially responsible for them, which is why the marriages end up turning into things about money rather than things about like the love and added stuff. But yeah, like whether or not he did become like half, I don't know enough about his father, but I feel bad that, I don't know, it didn't seem like she wanted to start over, entirely, even though she had a kid who killed her other two kids. She let him live and was attached to that kid for the rest of her life, for better or for worse, and that's a choice she'll have to live with for the rest of her days. The only thing is she's at the point in her life where she's too far gone to ever be able to come back from that decision. She grabs a nearby bottle, shatters it, and stabs him in the gut. But I said her heart's not in it, or she would have gone somewhere lethal. You're the goddamn devil, she says, and pulls it out, letting the blood flow. And this is where shit gets real. Oz. Damn, half a fucking hour. I did say this was a long scene. I'm gonna have to plug in my laptop real quick. I'm sorry. This is where shit gets real. Oz turns into a baby, like back to his like kid self. He's got that devilish tux on, like, and he looks sad, pathetic. He has a sad, pathetic face, looking up at her, because he's lost. You know, you never saw this look on his face in the flashbacks, because he was always winning against his mother. He always had the upper hand. He could do whatever he wanted and not be afraid of losing her. And maybe that type of love is different, but I think this show likes to argue that it's not so different. You know, maybe it's codependency, you know, where you're both dependent on each other. Maybe it's one-sided and people just like the word co to make themselves feel less alone. But yeah, loneliness is a tough battle or feeling to take on. But once you beat it, I think you can reach higher versions of yourself, and I'm sorry that she never reached that point. I don't know what she aspired to be in life. Maybe all she wanted to do was be a mother, but can you imagine? Like, she could have probably had more kids with someone else. But it doesn't matter. She got Oz. She birthed the devil, and she's got to live with that for the rest of her days. I think she might feel guilty. I don't know. It's a tough battle. How could one know? And you gotta be real cold-blooded But after he's looking up at her, she sees a young Jack and a young Benny, drenched in rainwater, standing behind. I said dripping, not drenched, but they were both. And I said it looked like they were ready to accept their vengeful mother back into their realm. She says their names, calls them her babies, and walks over. She says sorry. And then when she tries to say sorry again, she starts to seize. Blurriness overtakes her vision. Jack and Benny float away. She looks up and collapses. She collapses hard. This gets Oz awake and bullish, like a bull, like she used to call him. He yells, "Ma!" breaks from his chair, and fights off a henchman of Sophia's with the chair leg that he broke, and steals his gun, and fires through his body to the others, and even gets Sophia to pull out her newly acquired gun that she's loved flexing for this, month or two. I don't know how long it's been, but she's been pretty inaccurate with it as Oz scoops up his ragdolled mother and gets away. End scene. Considering this was so long already, I'm not going to add additional commentary, I don't think, and we'll continue hopefully next week at some point. Like I said, this should have came out yesterday, but this took forever to write, and now I'm recording it, and we'll see when it goes up, but hopefully as soon as I can. On that note, it's been Tog. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in some other videos, hopefully, and I know I shouldn't say stuff like that, because I always said like and subscribe and whatever, but honestly, I don't care. As long as you're here and enjoying it, it's fine. Do your thing. See yas.